Hey everyone, I know it's been a while. It's good to be back. So today I want to dive a little deeper into reflections. I want to talk about my postpartum journey, and I'm ready to just get real with you guys, talk about it, and just let you guys in on what's been going on in my life. So this time around with my second baby in postpartum, it was definitely a lot tougher for me. I feel like from my first pregnancy. So if you guys know my work, I see the perfection in all of the hard moments. So now that I am 11 months postpartum, well, I'm still nursing, so I still consider that as postpartum. Okay, so there's always just an equal amount of good to something as there is with the perception of something being bad. So it was such a beautiful moment for me, and also one of the most challenging. So both things can exist at the same time. We can still feel so grateful for something, know that, something was so beautiful and see the lessons in it. And also at the same time, know that it's so challenging and we go through all of these emotions, and those are all perfect. Like, we need to feel through all the emotions that we need to feel through. Both things can exist at the same time, and it doesn't have to be like one or the other. So after having Ellie, I started to feel really down and alone, even though I wasn't alone. I have family, and my mom was here to help me, and my husband was helping me. Like, I was never alone, but it was just this feeling of feeling alone. I couldn't really explain it, but it was the first time in my life that I got to even become a stay-at-home mom, which was something that I dreamed about. Even like before we even moved into this house, I want to say like 4 years ago, I would write down in my journal that my dream is to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, the next time I ever had a baby, that was what I wanted. I wanted to be the one to be home with my baby and raising my baby. And I remember, when I was journaling about it, that I would even just like close my eyes and just be in the moment of feeling how it would feel like to be a stay-at-home mom, even though I didn't know how it would even be possible. So at that time I was like, okay, I dreamed about being a stay-at-home mom, but I don't even know how that's possible. Like, I don't know how that's going to happen. And that was just something I just really wanted. And with my firstborn, I had to go back to work at 3 months. So it was really different with her. Like, I didn't really get that time to be at home for that long. I was only with her for 3 months, and then I had to go back to work. So I had to find a babysitter for her. And, go and provide. And so I wanted to experience something totally different this time. And both things are going to have its own challenges. So with my firstborn, when I had to go back to work, that was hard. That was hard, being 3 months postpartum and having to take my baby to the babysitter and then go to work and be away from her. So that was challenging in a different way. So anyway, so you would think that, I finally had my dream. I had what I've been wanting. I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. So I should be happy, right? Which I totally was. I was so happy and also so sad at the same time. I cried so much during the first few months of postpartum. And since I finally had the time to really rest and recover and not think about work at that time, like, all I had to really do was take care of my baby and rest and recover and not think about anything else. And if you know me, I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. I've been working since I was in high school. I was always like working and going to school. I never really gave myself any time to not work, really. And so, the only time that I really didn't work was during COVID. But yeah, other than that, I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. if I'm not working, I'm working out, or I'm doing something. I'm always just like, go, go, go. And so all of those suppressed emotions that I had came up within my postpartum, when I was in postpartum. And so they're not all bad. I know that I had to let myself feel them, process them, or they will just continue to stay stuck in my body. And so a part of self-love is feeling emotionally whole. We don't want to see these emotions as only bad. Like usually when we're feeling sad, when we're crying, when we're feeling some type of emotion that makes us sad and makes us cry, we think of it as, okay, this is bad. I shouldn't be feeling this way. But they're all coming up because they are ready to be seen, and they're ready to be processed, and they're ready to just come out of your body and let them release. So it's important to let yourself just process it, feel it, and let it release. And one of the reflections that kept coming up for me was just feeling unsupported. There were certain situations after having Ellie that made me feel unsupported, even though that wasn't the ultimate truth. It was just a story I had in my head. I was so supported by my family, by my husband, by my mom, my loved ones, my daughter, our family. I had so much support around me, more supported than I ever had been in my life. And I've always felt supported within my marriage and within my family, but this was totally different. This was like a whole new level of support where I wasn't working, and I've been working for most of my life. I was just going to be a stay-at-home mom, and being able to take care of my baby for as long as I want to, that was a whole different level of support that I've never really experienced in my life. So it was just something new. And certain situations triggered me, and in those moments, I felt very unsupported. So something as little as maybe my husband getting back into the gym even, it triggered me because, I was still in my healing process. I didn't have that freedom anymore. And even though I knew it was a reflection, I just let myself feel it without judging it. I gave myself that permission to feel sorry for myself, to grieve and cry and feel that sadness. And I told myself, it's okay to feel unsupported in my body. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve that freedom that I felt like I didn't have anymore. Because before, I had the freedom to go and work out whenever I wanted to. I had the freedom to take a break whenever I wanted to. Work, I was working, but at work, we're able to take breaks. We're able to have bathroom breaks. We're able to be on our phone during break time or whatever. And we have more I felt like I had more freedom rather than now. And so I let myself grieve that. And then I got curious. And asked myself, okay, is this a familiar feeling? And it definitely was. All of my life, I never really felt fully supported and safe. So my mom came here as an immigrant, and she had to provide for us. So she was always working while I was at home, and I was being abused by a family member, and she had no idea. My mom is the best mom. I love my mom. She was the best mom that she could be at the time. She was literally providing for us. And then it just became a domino effect in my life, because at home I was being abused, and at school I was being picked on. And I wanted to say it started when I was around 2nd or 3rd grade. And so then that became a story over and over again in my life. So all of those emotions were coming to surface now. Even though I felt like I thought I had already worked through it, it was just still more stuff that needed to be seen, that needed to be healed. And that's why it was coming up now and right in my face. So I didn't run away from it. I dove into them. I had to see how everything in my life is perfect. And not because things weren't challenging and things weren't hard. They really were. But what did I learn from them? What lessons could I pull out of challenging situations that happened in my life? So see how it all worked out for me, how everything made me into the person that I am today. And, I even forgave my abuser, and not in a way of bringing him back into my life because, he was a family member, but being able to send him love from afar. I don't need to punish him. That's not my job. God's got that part for me. I am divinely supported. So I had to create a new story for myself. Instead of that old story of me not being supported, me not being safe throughout my life, I had to create a new code, a new story of I am always supported. Even if I can't actually see it in the moment, how everything is actually working out for me, how I am safe. I had to create these new codes and not just create affirmations. When we just say affirmations, our brain is not going to really believe these affirmations. And so you want your brain to actually believe what you are saying, this new story. Because what it's going to do is you're going to feel unsafe and unsupported, and you're going to say, I'm so supported, I am so safe. But in the back of your mind, you have this old story, so your brain isn't going to believe you. But when you create codes, you prove to your brain why this is true, why you are actually supported, why you are actually safe, until it becomes a non-declarative, until it becomes, this is just how I am, this is just how I be, and prove to the brain that it's actually true. So because my subconscious, it had that old story since I was a little girl, like 7 years old. So I'm 37 now, so for 30 years. So just affirmations alone, it's not going to create a new story, especially if that was my story for most of my life. My brain will naturally go back to that old story. So to create new codes, to create a new story for myself, to create new beliefs, I have to be consistent with proving to myself why these codes are actually true. But before I'm able to create a new code, I have to let myself go through that old belief. So our brain is constantly asking, okay, am I safe? And do I need to protect myself? So when we experience stress or something that triggers us, our brain can go into more of a protection mode, and we become more focused on what could be wrong and what could go wrong. And it can become really hard to slow down and regulate our emotions. So when an emotion comes up, the goal isn't always to just immediately make it go away. Sometimes the work is actually just learning how to sit with it and tell yourself, okay, I'm feeling sad right now. I'm feeling this right now. And I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling unsupported. And that's okay. I don't have to judge myself for feeling this. I don't have to fix it right now. I can just let myself feel it. Because when we give ourselves the permission to feel, instead of immediately just trying to suppress it and make it go away, avoid it, then we can really start to understand what it's actually trying to show us. So when any kind of emotion comes up, when any kind of trigger comes up, the goal isn't always to just immediately make it go away. Sometimes the work is actually being able to sit with it and say, okay, I feel this and I'm safe enough to feel this. So for me, all of these emotions were coming to surface. And there's actually a reason why something happening in the present can bring up feelings from the past. Our brains remember experiences. So in certain situations with certain people, or even feelings that can remind our brain of something that we experienced before. So sometimes something happened today, it can trigger an emotion that's actually connected to something that's much deeper and much older. So that trigger that was happening in the moment, it was just bringing something up to the surface that was already there. And that's exactly what I was experiencing. So I didn't run away from it. I dove into it. And affirmations alone are not going to create a new story, because my brain is naturally going to go back to that old story, what it already knows. And this is where neuroplasticity comes in. So our brain can actually change through repetition and through new experiences. So if I want to create a new pattern in my life, I can't just say an affirmation once and then expect my brain to completely believe it. I have to actually experience something different over and over again. And that's what I mean when I talk about creating a new code. You want to experience this new story over and over again for it to actually land in your brain. It's creating a new story for myself and new beliefs by consistently showing myself that these new beliefs are actually true. Because think about it. Everything that happened to my younger self, it kept reinforcing that old belief of I'm not supported, I'm not safe. So it was like, see, this is true. Mom has to go to work. Mom can't stay home. That means I'm not safe. That means I'm going to be in trouble or something bad is going to happen to me. And that happened over and over again. So now I have to give my brain this new evidence, and I need to keep it consistent, keep it happening over and over again to create this new belief. So I have to show myself over and over again how I am supported, how I am safe, and I can trust myself, how I am actually okay. So I'm not just telling myself this affirmation once and thinking it's going to change everything. I'm teaching my brain a new story through my experiences. And then after I looked at that, I had to ask myself, where am I not supporting myself? In what area of my life have I been promising myself something that, I've been wanting to do? Where have I been unsupporting to myself? And where in my life am I not even feeling supported? Because the reflection showed up in the family area of life, but that's not the root cause. That's not where it started. That's just where it showed up, because that's where I'm going to notice it. It has to be right in my face for me to see it. So that's where I'm able to really not avoid the situation, and it's like right in front of my face. But the cause was in a totally different area of my life. And as I dove deeper and I thought about it and I tapped into my intuition, I realized I was not supporting my body, my physical body. I was telling myself like, oh my gosh, I still look pregnant. So after my first pregnancy, I was kind of comparing my physical body within the two pregnancies. And with my first pregnancy, I was able to wear my regular clothes again, just walking out of the hospital. I put on my regular old clothes and I fit into it, and like my body just totally looked different this time around. And it's not a bad thing, but I was being hard on myself about that. And even it created my mom to say something to me that kind of triggered me. And it's not my mom's fault. I was the perfect match for her to say something that triggered me. And if you ever grew up in an Asian family, an Asian household, like they don't hold back, okay? They will tell you the truth and what they think. They won't be afraid to call you fat, or you're getting old, or you're looking old, or whatever the comment is. They will say it, and they will say what's on their mind. And I believe they do it from a place of love. But I was an energetic match to that, because I was being so hard on myself. So that creates other people being hard on me. And after I just created a life, I birthed life, my body did this beautiful thing, I was still hard on myself. So my beautiful mama, who I love so much, was being this beautiful lesson for me. And to realize like, okay, I need to stop being hard on myself. I need to stop talking to myself this way and thinking about myself this way. And to me, this is so powerful, because if my energy is creating this, right? If it's creating others being hard on me because I'm being hard on myself, well, then I can create the opposite. All I have to do is really love myself for where I'm at. Even if I'm trying to work towards something better, I can still love myself for where I'm at right now. And if I'm constantly criticizing myself, constantly feeling like I'm not enough, constantly looking at my body and thinking I need to change you before I can actually love you, that creates an internal environment that doesn't feel very safe or supportive. So if I'm being hard on my body, no matter what stage of life I'm in right now, even when I was super fit and working out and competing, if I'm working out from a place of lack and not loving it, then I would eventually create that imbalance in my life. And energy, it can't be created or destroyed. It changes form. And now that energy will show up in other areas of my life and it'll amplify that original energy. So if you're not feeling good enough with your body, and that energy can trickle into relationships or within people around you, and they will say things or do things that amplify that feeling of not enough or being hard on yourself or whatever the original feeling is. So this is to show you and reflect back your own limiting beliefs so that you could notice it and shift it by healing the original belief at the root. But what a lot of people do is when problems happen within a relationship or within family, we tend to only work on the relationship. We don't look at the reflection and find the root of where it started. So I'm going to go super metaphysical and high consciousness with you guys. So let me tell you a secret to life. Every single thing that the human consciousness has created externally, maybe issues with relationships, issues with family members, maybe breakups, even divorce, maybe narcissist or a disease, a body ailment, anything that shows up externally, it all starts first in our consciousness, in our mind. And if there's any conflict inside of us, we project that and create it outside of us so that we can heal it. And we become a match to people or situations that amplify what's already within ourselves. So the only solution to all of your problems is to go inside and do the inner work to delete the root problem, which is the original code, the thought form that started everything. So if you're blaming anything outside of you, then you will be continuously stuck inside the original code, the old belief. So you would be stuck in your wounded feminine energy. And if you even have 1 ounce of blame, that person who is triggering you is just the representation of the conflict inside of you. Every single thing, it starts with an internal conflict. So we need to dive in, see where the original conflict started internally, and delete that original code by creating a new code and suffocating the old code, which is the old belief. If there's any kind of imbalance within us, inside of our human consciousness, then there will be conflict outside of us in the matter that we experience. It's to get us back into balance. And so when you delete that suffering inside of you, then the outside conflict, it has to go away. That's just how it works. That's just how life works. I don't make the rules. I am just the messenger. And that's how reality works. That's how consciousness works. And I know that this can be very triggering for some people to hear, especially if someone is in their wounded feminine energy or their wounded masculine energy. And as long as you keep blaming others, you can never move forward in life. And some people stay in this mindset forever. They keep staying in their victim mindset, blaming everyone else instead of just looking inside. So of course, if that's what they choose to do, that's totally fine, but it's not going to really help in any way. You're not going to be able to really start creating and manifesting the life that you really desire to have. And that's really what this postpartum experience really taught me, And, of course, there's also a biological reason why postpartum can feel like such an emotional roller coaster. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, like I was crying a lot, okay? Like every little thing that my husband did or said or everything I saw online, it made me so emotional. And after, you have a baby, your hormones change, like things change quickly. Your estrogen and your progesterone levels drop. Your body's recovering from birth. You're adjusting to breastfeeding or feeding your baby. You're not getting much sleep at all. And you're also going through this huge life change of caring for a little human. And when I was experiencing all of these different emotions, my body and my brain were going through a huge transition at the same time. And honestly, knowing that really helped me have so much more compassion for myself. And I was just so grateful for everything because it was just this huge blessing in disguise. And it gave me so many lessons, and it made me realize that I didn't need to shame myself for having any of these emotions. I didn't need to shame myself for feeling so sad in postpartum, even though it was like such a blessing, such a time of happiness. I didn't need to fake it, and I just let myself feel all of it because I knew it was coming up for a reason. It was coming up because it wanted to be seen. And if I just kept suppressing it, if I was trying to keep myself too busy to not feel it, then it's gonna have to come up in other ways. So it was just better to like let myself see it, let myself feel it then and there, and just let myself process it so it doesn't stay stuck in my body. And it's such a beautiful experience. Like I felt so much happiness, I felt sadness, I felt grief, I felt anger, I felt loneliness, but I felt gratitude. I felt all the love. I was supported. I got to actually see how in my life I am supported. And I got to really create these new codes for myself. And I knew it was just a season that I was going through, and I'm going to come out the other end even better. And that's the story that I have for myself. Because I am a mom, I'm even better now. I've become a better person. And because I went through that, I'm even better now because now other moms can relate to me. My kids and my family 10x my life. And because I went through that, now I love myself deeper. I can appreciate my body even more. They were beautiful lessons. And sometimes the thing that we think is breaking us, it's actually showing us exactly where we need to go deeper. And for me, postpartum really brought everything that needed more love from me. It brought it all to the surface. So instead of running from it, I chose to really look at it, dive into it, feel it, understand it, to forgive, to create a new story, and just most importantly, learning to support myself. And I'm not talking about financially. Like I know how to do that. I've done that my whole life. Right now, it's like supporting my dreams, supporting that dream of me being a stay-at-home mom, supporting my body, supporting the things that I've always wanted to do, supporting myself in those ways, loving myself even deeper. And it also made me realize that the support that I was looking for outside of me was also something that I needed to learn how to give to myself. All right, guys, baby girl is awake now. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. That was a little part of my postpartum story and the lessons that I've learned from it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.